Will he or won't he? These are the questions on the minds of many Nigerians as they wait expectantly for President Muhammadu Buhari to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. With barely 4 days to the deadline given to him under the Constitution. Should he fail to approve the bill, both houses of the National Assembly can pass the legislation into law, but will require 2/3 of members of each of the chamber to do so. From all indications, Buhari is being pulled from all angles by vested interests within and outside his political party, who for self-serving reasons either want the bill assented to or rejected. Now joining us to discuss the political skimming behind the scenes and why the president is under pressure to sign the bill or reject it is Hon Timothy Golu, former member of the House of Representatives Committee. Good morning, Hon Golu, and thank you for joining us this morning on the program. Hon Golu.
It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Ajibola Bashir, Okay, Hon Golu, I'd like to ask you this morning, what's your take on the politicking going on with the president as regards signing this bill? In this day newspaper today, a presidential source came out to say that the president will sign it, that he recently did speak at the Democracy Summit organized by President Biden, and he reiterated his commitment to democracy. And if he was not going to sign it, he will have told the National Assembly by now. Those were the reasons given by the presidential source. What say you on what is happening?
Thank you very much, my brother. Good morning, Arise, and good morning, Nigerians. I am happy that the president, for the opt-in time, has restated his commitment to sign the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 as passed by both chambers of the National Assembly. You know, I don't know why people keep insinuating. I don't know why people keep putting pressure on the president on the negative side of it. The man has said it. He came out to debunk, a statement that he wrote a letter to INEC and that he will likely reject signing or giving his own assent to the bill. But thank God he has said it again. But I don't know why Nigerians or why some people would believe that the president would not sign it. Regardless of the pressures coming from, wherever. I am of the very strong belief that the president would sign this thing. There is no any consequences to be done because he is doing it in the interest of democracy. He is doing it in the interest of his people. He should look at this himself as the father of this nation and sign this thing. Even if any other thing fails, this one should not fail. This one is about democracy itself, and this is the foundation of every other thing. If Nigerians are to be given the opportunity or are to be asked to sponsor bills, the first bill, I believe, every Nigerian, individually or even as families will sign, is the electoral bill to reform our electoral system, to sanitize the process so that elections will be smooth, elections will be fair and will be credible, because that is the gateway to governance and the gateway to good governance. Any governance that is not built on credibility and legitimacy always have this kind of problem. And I must commend the National Assembly, the 9th National Assembly, which has sustained the tempo that began in 2010, the twilight of the outgoing 6th Assembly then, the 7th Assembly sustained it, the 8th Assembly, which I belong, sustained it, and then the 9th Assembly. All, our efforts get to improve on the quality of our own democracy because Nigerians are ready for it. They are eager for it. We know the value of democracy. We know what it has done to this nation. Thank God that out of all the clauses, about 21 clauses, the 3 main ones that are of key interest to Nigerians are the clause 87, which talk about the electronic transfer of election results, clause 52, which has to do with direct primaries for all political parties as they nominate their flag bearers for general elections, and then clause 12, which talks about creating or establishing an electoral, offenses commission to deal with electoral criminals. These are very, very important, and maybe with time to create a special course that will handle that. I commend the National Assembly for doing that. what I had expected to, or the thought that I had expected, is to ensure that INEC conducts elections, all elections in this country, not just the federal, states, and area councils, but even local government. Even local government elections in the 36 states of the Federation. If INEC can conduct elections in the 6 area councils in Abuja, why can't they conduct it in all the 74 local governments? After all, even the federal, the presidential, National Assembly, governorship, and the State House of Assembly elections are done in the localities. Nobody stays at the federal level. Nobody stays at the state level. Everybody stays at the local level. So it is just avoiding it. And that has given undue, advantage to governors who sit down and impose their wills and try to dismember democracy at that level. You can imagine, because the governors control, the state electoral commissions, they do whatever they like. And so you can't imagine a situation where INEC will exclude a political party from participating in an election that is a constitutional responsibility. It has never, except there is a very strong injunction from the court. But you can see state governors doing it. It happened in Plateau State recently, where a whole political party was excluded at the whims and caprices of the state government because they control the state independent electoral commission. So I am optimistic that the president will sign this thing, because it will be an excellent legacy. It started in 2015 by the former President Goodluck Jonathan. He damned all personal and selfish interests, and he signed that bill into law. And President Muhammadu Buhari, who was his opponent, became the chief beneficiary of that law. And now, interestingly, the president is rounding up his second tenure. So definitely there is even no need to think twice about it. If he didn't sign it before 2019 because he was afraid of maybe losing elections as a result of the provisions that may affect him, he should sign it now, because he is not contesting for the third time. So he has a level playing field within his own heart, within his own mind, within his soul to do it. And so I am optimistic that he will sign it. Regardless of any pressure, the president should not succumb to any pressure. Pressure from who? Who is higher than the president in this country? If they cannot do anything, please let them do this one.
Well, glad that you are optimistic that the president will sign. Yesterday, spokesman for the Senate, Ajibola Bashiru, yesterday on television, said that the National Assembly will not go on the path of war with the president over the electoral bill, and that the National Assembly will take the best decision for Nigerians, irrespective of President Muhammadu Buhari's attitude towards the electoral bill. Now, you are a former lawmaker. What does this signal?
Well, it could be a political statement, it could be a partisan statement, but I want to believe that having come to this level, members of the National Assembly have overcome partisanship, have overcome any political, whatever that has to do with the issue. The president, I believe that throughout the process of this amendment, they have been in touch with the people from the villa, the executive and the legislature, because of the level of their relationship, they must have been talking. And it is not a strange thing. The executive have inputs. They have been watching, they've been listening. They have agencies that relate very closely. They have liaisons, with the National Assembly. So none of them is completely, blank or completely, unaware of what each one of them is doing. So to me, I don't want to believe that he is saying it, to mean that if the president decides that he is not going to sign it for any pressure, then the National Assembly should go for it. I want to believe that the National Assembly has come of age. I want to believe that the National Assembly will stand its ground. They are not doing it for the president. They are not doing it for a party. They are doing it for the interests of democracy. They want to do it. Nigerians, you can see the level of joy in Nigerians. You can see the level of excitement in Nigerians. Everybody is watching and listening to what happens every day. In fact, there is a number of news. They go in first for the news that has to do with the electoral reforms. What are they saying today? So the National Assembly should encourage Nigerians. The National Assembly members should encourage Nigerians to feel, assured that the president is not going to sign it. What reason would the president, why would the president not even sign it? I know that they are waiting up, optimistically too, that the president is going to sign this bill. We are waiting. because it will be a clap for him. He's going to leave. If he does that, he will leave a legacy, an added legacy, because the 6, 7, and 8 assemblies, there were a number of amendments that were proposed. In this one, there is an added one too that has to do with the direct primaries, which places every Nigerian safe in the process, in the inclusive process of this election. Because unlike before, when we used to do this delegate system, now, if it is signed into law, every political party, man or woman, will be a delegate in court. He will participate, unfettered access to the process. Nobody will be in charge. Everybody will be in charge. It's just like the general elections. You come do your accreditation, provided you are a member, a registered member of a political party. So the excitement that everybody, all of them are going to be part of it, has encouraged a lot of people to start registering to belong to political parties. Because many times, most Nigerians don't even belong to any political party, because they don't participate in the foundational, in raising or nominating flag bearers. They only participate at the general election, which means that candidates or flag bearers or ticket holders, are imposed on them. This time around, they will participate in it. So you can see the level in all the political parties. People are rushing to register so that they will not disenfranchise themselves, because before they used to be disenfranchised. Now if they don't do it, they will be disenfranchising themselves. And so with that kind of self-encouragement, self-motivation, the president has just no reason, moral, political, spiritual, whatever, not to sign this thing.
Well, Honorable Timothy Golu, well, you don't believe that the president can be put under pressure because he's the president, nobody is bigger than the president. The president has received this bill the past 30 days. Now we have just 4 days to go before, if he signs, of course, we all clap. If he doesn't, then the National Assembly will have to do the needful like they have promised. So I share your optimism. I welcome your optimism, like many Nigerians are also expecting that the president should sign. But to leave this 4 days to go and we're still talking about the president will sign, will he not sign? I don't know whether that in itself is not an indication that is caving under some pressure. But let me just look at the other side of it. You spoke so glowingly about this direct primary, which seems to be the bone of contention in this bill. As a politician, don't you think, yes, the deed has been done, but don't you think the political parties ought to have been given the option so that each party, because all parties are not equally endowed, to choose which system best suits them? Some party will just will have gone for consensus. If this is signed, can't we go back and address that contentious issue? Since there's also a groundswell of opposition to these direct primaries that is already enshrined in that bill as passed.
Yes, you see the issue of direct primaries. The issue of direct primaries or consensus, let me say, apply to whether we are operating the delegate system or the direct, primary system, because consensus is consensus. You agree to present, the people together. Whatever it is, the governors or some people that are putting pressure on the president may want to achieve some personal, gains. They want to achieve some things with it. But you see, when you look at the bigger picture, I believe that at this level, the president has signed bills close to the end of the expiration of those bills. He is supposed to sign it within 30 working days. He has signed many bills towards the end of those, minimum time frames. So I believe that 4 or 3 days should not be a problem. But whatever happens, members of the public are there to hold their own representatives, to accountability, because if the president decides otherwise, which to me is unlikely, I don't want to be thinking about that. If the president decides not to sign it, he has to. The National Assembly doesn't even need to get any explanation from him. The National Assembly can go back, to the chambers. Two-thirds of both chambers is enough to address this situation. It doesn't need the consent of the president. I don't want to believe that the president will be ready to be embarrassed by the National Assembly, will be ready to be disgraced at that level, because the National Assembly members have come out to speak about it. There is nobody among them that has come out to talk openly against direct primaries, which means that whether you like it or not, definitely you will key into it. Whether you like it or not, you will be scared of saying it because your people are watching. Why are you, did you win your elections in the way that you should have won? Those who don't want it know what they did to get to the National Assembly. But majority of the people, because it is still the same process. The fear in some quarters that is too much, the cost of the burden of holding a primary election for all political parties by INEC, I don't see it as any reason, because in the first place, or as it is now, it is the political parties that have been partly sponsoring their own primary elections. And INEC we call on INEC to come and witness it, as provided by the current provision of the Electoral Act. They come as observers and they stay there. The police is always there and the rest of them. So political parties contribute to maintaining these things. So there is no difference between doing it and doing what is expected in this. INEC has complained that it doesn't have money to, whether INEC has money or not, the political parties can still go ahead. But you see, ordinarily, it could have been seen on one hand that political parties should be allowed to do whatever. But since the National Assembly has taken it upon itself, because the Constitution says the National Assembly can legislate for the good governance of this country. So I believe that in their own wisdom, they have seen the deficiencies involved in running a delegate system all these years. They have seen the disenchantment. They have seen the discouragement. They have seen the frustration associated with all this across political parties. It doesn't happen in one political party. It happens across. So when you come home and people begin to ask you questions about why you are not, doing this direct, it is not the kind of direct primary election conducted by the APC where people will come and stand on the queue. It's not going to be like that, and then you count 1, 2, 5, 15, 30, 100. No, it's not going to be like that. Is going to be a systematic process with due accreditation. If you don't have a membership card, because the Electoral Act also provided that the membership register of the political parties, electronic and a hard copy, must be submitted to INEC. And then security agencies will also have it. When you bring it on that day, the political parties will also have their own. You take it to the various wards. Every ward has its own. It must be displayed like the voter register. Once it is displayed, everybody see his name, and there are no any irregularities and the rest of them. Fine. If there are irregularities, you correct them. That is why in our own party, the People's Democratic Party, you register online by yourself, you obtain the card by yourself, and you present it. It goes to the server of the party, and then you have the records everywhere. So it's the same record that will be given to the INEC that you will have, and then the police will have. So on the day of election, if you don't have any membership card of any political party, you don't belong to any other political party. So there will be no queue. There will be no queue. If you want, you do it the way we do it. If you want, a political party wants it, they can do accreditation and then ask those who have been accredited with evidence of accreditation to stand on the other side and then queue behind the person they want to vote for. But I want to believe that you will not even get to that level. As you do accreditation, you also, it will be the best form of election. It will start with some roughness, it will start with some level of challenges, but once we get there, can be using card readers and PVCs, because it will not going to be ordinary membership card, it will be membership card, okay, of the same semblance with the PVC. Okay,
Honorable, I'll put this to you. Do you think that this National Assembly has the gusto to overturn the President's decision in a case that the President doesn't sign this bill? Do you think that this National Assembly has got the temerity to do that?
They have it, except they don't want to do it. They have it, except they don't want to do it. What is the fear after all? The President, the President cannot go to their various places to save them during elections. The President cannot, dictate, cannot tell them what to do. And the president's tenure is coming to an end. Are they looking up to the president? Are they looking up to their parties? Or are they looking up to Nigerians? Are they looking up to improving on the quality of our democracy? If they don't do it, it's because they don't want to do it for some reasons, but not because they don't have the guts to do it. We have people who have been there since 1995. The leadership of the National Assembly, all of them are all of them have been in the National Assembly for close to 20 years. So it's not that they don't have the guts, the courage, or whatever, but I urge them not to allow partisan considerations to becloud their experience. We know them, we respect them, we value them, we cherish them. They have been there before, they have done it. And so if for any political reason they have not demonstrated this capability in other areas, this one is a special area. They must do this thing for the interest of the nation, for the interest of God. God is watching us. Democracy starts and ends with God. We are just in the middle. So I want to believe that in their own consciences, members of the National Assembly will not toy with what the nation has been looking up to. They will not, whether it is the president or whether it is the parties or whoever. There is nobody that should be above the Electoral Act, because there is nobody that is above the Constitution. So I want to believe that they will look at the president in the face and tell him, Mr. President, on behalf of our people, because let them go to their various constituencies and let us see which constituency would object to the direct primary elections. I bet you there will be none.
Well, it's only 4 days left, just 4 days to go. I mean, you can't blame people for asking why the president is dragging his foot. I mean, in 2018, the president rejected the bill on the grounds that,
well, maybe he is busy addressing some issues.
The constitutional powers of INEC, and now the president is, at this point, saying that he's waiting for feedback from agencies that he wrote to, seeking their comments on some sections of the bill. Now, what part of the bill do you think is giving the president the most concern? Because obviously he has had this bill for, 24 days about? Almost 21 days?
Because all the key areas, all the key items in this provision, the transmission of election results, the direct primary thing, and then the electoral offenses commission that is to be expected by the provision of this bill. All these three are giving sleepless nights to those who are putting pressure on the president. They are putting pressure because these things will affect them. The transmission of results, some people will write results and then they will just be there. The results from the unit are changed at the ward level, at different stages of the collection centers, but this time around it goes straight. If you change it, it doesn't make sense. You go there and see the final result there. Some people are sleepless about it. The direct primaries, some people cannot come close to their own places. Some people have not even visited their areas. They wait, and then their names are submitted through the delegate system because they give them money, and then you don't even know the venue of the election, the primary election, and it is done. And then the third one is the Electoral Commission. Some people are afraid of it because once this thing is set up, once it is signed, the president is expected to establish the commission immediately, which will serve as an EFCC to the INEC, because INEC has a lot of things in his hand it cannot prosecute. It's already limited. So they will go ahead to do this thing. Whoever that is involved, not just INEC officers, any police officer, ad hoc staff, and whoever. And above all, the beneficiaries of the fraudulent electoral process. There are people, we have a lot of criminals within the electoral system. Those who benefit are more of the criminals than those who help them, to perpetuate this thing. So the person will also, be involved. So these are the type of people that don't want it because they will be affected by the commission's activities. Any snatching of ballot papers, manipulation of whatever, changing of results, you see a result, a paper that is, a duplicate sheet. Only the first one is clear enough to be seen. The ones given to other political parties, the one given to police and the rest of them. So why would INEC be doing that kind of thing? What happened? Why would INEC go to conduct an election prepared very well with heavy budgets with them, and then you go there and see non-functional equipments everywhere? The card reader is hardly being used. This one is not fine. But when you go to ATM, you hardly have that kind of problem. When you go to any other place, you hardly have that kind of problem. But when it comes to election, it will take you close to 30 minutes, 1 hour before. But if these things are put in place, let me tell you, 1 minute is enough for somebody to do accreditation and do the voting. So INEC must also, the independence of INEC must be guaranteed. It must be strengthened. And the oversight on INEC must also improve.
Okay, Honorable, we'll go for a quick break and we'll come back and talk some more. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the morning show. Still in the studio with us is Honorable Timothy Golu. Honorable, thank you for staying with us. Now, from all you have said, clearly the politicians are the problems who want to undercut the process. And you believe that the direct primaries will cut out some of these problems which politicians dwell on. Now, it has also been said that the National Assembly members are also doing it because of their own personal interest. That's why they adopted the direct primaries. Now, how do we get around it? Because we know among politicians that they always look for a way to undermine the process. Nobody will be a governor forever. Many former governors are sitting in the National Assembly. And, of course, we have also seen governors or former governors who were dealt with their so-called godsons. So how do we address all these issues so that even when this bill is signed into law, politicians don't still go around to look for ways to undermine the system?
Well, you see, the people are watching. The level of awareness, the level of understanding, democratic understanding has gone up within the people. And so I don't think some of the impunities of the past can still be repeated now. You know, that is why there has been improvement. There has been improvement, constant improvement. Sometimes it is too slow, but sometimes it's open. Like it happened in 2015, it was massive improvement. It slowed down in 2019. Now we are getting into 2003. Whatever that the politicians are doing, definitely they have an interest. But if the channel of pursuing your interest is legitimate and credible, and you use it effectively to maximize the gains, then there is no problem with that because it applies to everybody. But if you want to cut corners so that you can maximize, that is where the problem comes in. So where the majority of the people, because democracy is about majority, since the majority are in favor of direct primaries, where they want to participate, where they want to, except you don't want to, they are not limited by any clause in the constitution of any political party, they are covered by the Electoral Act, which is an extract of the constitution, then definitely, you know, the people are better for it. So whatever any politician would want to do, let them do it. But as long as it's within the game. If you are a footballer, you can score the ball with the head, you can score it with your eye, you can score it with your legs and with your back, provided you don't use your hand to score the goal. It is okay.
But the sad reality is that we all know too well that politicians like to do the hand of God in this part of the world. Most of the goals the politicians score is always with their hand, which is at variance with the rules of football. And that is what is happening here again.
Yes.
INEC has raised concerns.
And that is why we...
No, let me just finish that. INEC has raised concerns that all of this going on will affect the municipal elections coming up in Abuja very soon. What's your take on the fears of INEC? INEC has since written back to the president. Then why this delay? And I asked you a question earlier on. You say people should use their good conscience. It might sound disrespectful, but I apologize in advance. Is it with this, quote, alleged rubber stamp legislature that would take that stand? Even the 8th assembly that you served in, that was said to be very bullish and frontal, could not match it power for power with the president. But is it this alleged rubber stamp legislation that take that stand?
Well, the seasons are changing and things are improving. The level of awareness, as I told you, is improving at a very high speed. And Nigerians are watching. I believe that it was the pressure of Nigerians that made the National Assembly to resign its decision against the transmission of the electronic transmission of results. You could see the massive opposition to it. Nigerians stood their grounds, the CSOs, all the organizations individually, those who are not even in politics, stood for that, and then it worked. So if they want to go by whatever, yes, they have done, they have been, the National Assembly seems to be very friendly with the president on all issues, and they will always explain themselves. People, Nigerians are watching. There are items, so there are areas that Nigerians cannot take it. There are areas, there are places Nigerians cannot take because when it affects them directly, there are areas that people can be patient with. There are areas that are, that can be tolerated. But there are areas coming to this level where we see people, and especially in the last election, when there seems to be a reversal of most of the gains, the electoral gains of 2015. Nigerians will not, we don't want crisis. We don't want chaos. We don't want the insecurity to be compounded. Because these are some of the things that create insecurity in some other areas.
Okay, Honorable, quickly. 2023, there are agitations for North Central presidency. What's your take on this? What do you know about this? Quickly, sir, in a minute.
Yes, thank you very much for touching on this item. Politics is about consensus, it's about fairness. Politics is about reciprocity, it's about balance, it's about give and take. All the geopolitical zones in this country have done their best to contribute to building, the democracy that we now enjoy. For the North Central zone, which is one of the key geopolitical zones in this country, we have contributed so immensely to not just the democratic or political development of this country, for the unity and the peace and development of this nation. We have supported, with the return of democracy in 1999, we have given our maximum, our full, unalloyed, uncompromising support to people from the Southwest, people from the Northwest, people from the South, to become presidents of this country. And I think that as it is now, the Southwest has done it, the South has done it, the Northwest has done it. Some other zones, have not done it, inclusive of the North Central zone. We in the North Central zone felt that we have not benefited much from the unalloyed support that we have given, to the presidencies of this country. We have been sleeping. And whenever we do our elections, we come out with all our hearts, with all our strength, with all our soul to do it. And when it is over, we begin to ask, we don't see, we make calls and calls are not picked. We do this and then we feel that we are being marginalized and left behind. So this is the time that we have decided to come together to pursue the presidency of this country because we want to provide the leadership. We have credible people. If we can provide the foundation, if we can give our own support, and our support has always been very meaningful, but once we get to that position, we can do it. In fact, we can do it better. We are organized. As you see now, it is a spirit that is moving within the central zone. It is a self-motivated action. People have come out on their own. In fact, people were not mobilized. Everybody felt a sense of belonging, that we need to be treated with respect by other zones too. We have respected them. Yes, we have played this politics of mutuality together. But this is the time that we want the North Central zone to lead. And we are, in fact, as far as this movement is concerned, my brother, it has gone very far. Very soon you will see the manifestation from the entire 7 states of the North Central, inclusive of the FCT. Things are changing. The FCT is here, it's located within our own zone, geopolitical zone, but throughout the democratic dispensation, for instance, we have never occupy the position of FCT minister that is located here in the FCT in the North Central. Look at the issues that our people are suffering from, the indigenous people of Abuja here, the Buhari people and other tribes. The issues of compensation, the issues of resettlement, the issues of relocation. For many years, they have refused to be completed by government. It's because those who have always been providing leadership are not from these areas. So they say charity begins at home. If you don't wear a shoe, you will not know where it pinches. We have a lot of issues like that here. Look at the zone. Most of the key projects are located within the areas where the presidents come from. Most the road projects, is it the water projects, is it whatever, they are always, and yet the government is here. We keep seeing things flying over us from north-southwest to south-south, from south-south to northwest, and the rest of them. And we are in the middle. So we have come together to demand for this thing. And we are urging Nigerians to give us this support so that you see what we can bring on the table. We have competent people. We have people who are patriotic enough to take this nation to the promised land. And I assure you that we have started the movement and it is unstoppable. It is unstoppable. And we urge all political parties to follow what the People's Democratic Party is doing within the North Central geopolitical zone. We have been moving around, and so far the reception has been excellent. People know that we have those who can provide leadership for this country.
Yes, we want to thank you, Honorable Timothy Golu. As you pursue the presidential aspiration of the Middle Belt, well, thank you for coming with us.